Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. I love inspiring stories, and we've got one today. With us right now we have Hector Farinato.
Yep.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And you are a senior at Franklin and Marshall.
I am.
And you are a double major. What is it, computer science, economics?
Yeah, both of
Yeah,
them.
well, let's just add to the load, right?
A lot of work.
But you are from Brazil.
Yes.
And you have a story in how you got here.
Yes. It's a
Tell
crazy
us.
story.
It is a crazy story, and that's why we have you here. Please tell us.
Awesome. So I came from Brazil, very poor family in there, struggling every day even to get food on the table. And the thing I noticed very early on is that no one was doing anything to change it, right? So all my friends, all my family, it was all the same story. And I was like, there has to be something that can be done in this, right? And even though I was from a very poor area, farm, countryside, not a lot of resources, I had education. So that just clicked to me that it could be through education that I could change not only my family's lives, but my community, my city, Brazil, eventually in the world. So I was very blessed to very early on in life just realize my mission in life, that my mission was to help people somehow improve their lives through education. So that's why I jumped on.
How do you think you connected with that so early on? What was it?
I ask myself that question every day. Why was that? So that was when I was even before elementary school. That's when I realized
So how old
that.
were you? Maybe like
11, maybe
Okay.
10, so around there.
Okay.
For me, it was mostly because I needed to. My family was struggling so much. I was just constantly trying to find answers, even in that early age. And mostly it was just the only resource I had, right? Education was the only thing I had. We didn't have any connections, networking, or
Okay.
any money. So it was literally education. I had to bet because I wasn't sure if it was going to work
Okay.
or not. But I did. So I started believing in education a lot. So that's how it was more because of the need of helping my family.
Neat. Okay,
Yeah.
so that was the motivating force.
Yeah.
That this is the way to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Education.
Yeah, and it was I believe it's the strongest one, right? If your
Yes.
family is struggling to, even to eat, to get food on the table, that for me, that's so strong that I couldn't stop. Nothing could stop me because I wanted to help my family. So I believed in education very early on, started studying a lot. And at the same time, I was always very passionate about social projects. So somehow I always was very curious about helping people with little things, but also maybe some social projects and, more bigger, broader aspects. So studying a lot more, I started, just concentrating a lot, getting back from school, working with my father, he's an electrician, and after that just coming back and studying more extra, always trying to do more with my time, and at the same time I created a social project.
What
So
was the social project?
so when I got to high school, and then all the time I was like the best student for all schools, all the years I went through, but I also wanted to help people. So I started the social project, as I called it. So do you remember Super Mario, the game
Yes.
from Nintendo?
Yes, of course.
So I developed Super Mario for sustainability. So I literally programmed it to be a game about sustainability so that kids would learn and like nature.
Sustainability. Mhm.
Yeah, and then they'll like nature with fun. Because I just thought it would be easier to introduce that subject to them. If they were playing, if they were having fun, and showing to their friends. So I literally developed the whole game, put it online on a website, and I went to schools and told the children to play it, and they were like amazed by it. They would like be
Wow.
an hour and a half just playing all the stages that were developed, and they would learn about sustainability, recycling, deforestation, pollution, all of that through the game.
Wow.
So it was like me and a couple friends that we just got a bicycle and went around because we didn't have any money, and we were talking about sustainability, giving lectures to those kids, and it was just very inspiring to me to see that I could make a change in such a simple way, like just grab the bicycle with two friends and we were talking to kids about sustainability. So that was the concept that, social project that I had inside.
How old were you then?
That was high school.
Okay, so
Around
you and
high
your friends
school.
were in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, teenagers.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because we were doing high school and at the same time learning a little bit of informatics.
Yes.
So that was also when I was introduced to, technology and computer science and all of that. So education, again, it was such a
Right.
big part of my life, and it still is.
Okay.
So that was going on at the same time. Fast forward to high school, my senior year, I got elected as the best student. So then my school paid me to come to the US to learn English for a month because it was just an award that they created for that special occasion. They believed in me, so they said they wanted someone to learn English like fluently so could come back to the community and make a change. So they literally paid everything from like my documents, visas, the school that I came to. So I went to Portland in Oregon. That was my first time in the US. And I studied English for a month. So I knew a little bit of English for like taking some classes before, but I wasn't fluent, let's just say. So I went to Portland for a month. It was amazing, just blew my mind because imagine, my family had no money to pay for a trip like that. So I literally just won the trip by being a hardworking student and believing in education.
Right.
So that for me was like, yeah, it makes sense. Remember back then when I decided to believe in education, I didn't know if it was gonna be worth it or not. That moment in high school, senior year of high school, I realized it is the solution for me. So came to the US, studied English. That's where things start to get crazy. So not only I got fluent in English for about in a month that I wasn't here, when I went back to Brazil, I decided I was going to get a good education in the US, try to get into an American college, so then I could get even a better education to go back to Brazil and really make a change.
Yes.
So that's the decision point that I made. So I went back to Brazil in 2012. So I was done with high school. I took a gap year, both only to work on my social project, which I explained to you, and also the application process, which was a huge challenge, right?
Oh, yeah.
And even for people from the United States, I see now,
yes.
Imagine for me there. So my high school had no idea how to get me into Brazilian college. Imagine American college. No one in my family ever went to college either, so I had to do everything by myself. So I used the internet a lot. So again, technology played a huge role in my life. I used Facebook, YouTube, Google. So what I did, in my mind, I knew that there had to be some Brazilians studying in the US, right? It would be impossible for no Brazilians to be studying here. So I stalked them on Facebook. So I started researching them, and I found a bunch of them, and I sent them this huge message about my mission in life, that I wanted to help my family, asking them to help me with the application process. And from 100 messages that I sent, probably 5 or 6 of them answered me back. But the ones that did really, really helped me. So they read my essays, they guided me through the whole application process. So they were kind of like mentors, right, in that process too. So that went on, and I got into 3 colleges in the US after like a lot of hard working, studying by myself. And one of them gave me 90% of scholarships, which was huge already, right?
Yes.
But I didn't have the 10%. So I remember the day I told my parents, I went there, I was like, both of them were in the living room, I was like, I got into college, right? And they would start crying of, being happy and everything. But then I said, but I don't have the 10% of the money to pay for it, so I might not go. So they start crying of sadness at the same time, like right away when I said that. But I told them to calm down, that we would find a solution somehow. So I started, I was like, I couldn't give up, right? I was like 90% there.
Yes.
I needed a good education to change my family's lives. And I came up with a solution that I was going to start selling t-shirts on the streets. I just had to do something, right? To start raising the money.
Sure.
So I started selling t-shirts on the streets with educational phrases on them, literally to raise the money. Now I know there wouldn't be enough money to raise it, but back then there was at least something I was doing, right? So by doing that, I got a lot of attention from the media. A lot of TV channels from Brazil came to, ask about the story, because that never happened before. From a countryside area, getting like a lot of scholarships. So the story kept going, and to the biggest TV channel in Brazil invited me to go to a game show, to a TV game show, like live, just like Minute to Win It.
Right.
And that was it.
Minute
that was
to
my
Win It.
solution.
Okay, like
if
that,
I want Minute to Win It in Brazil, I could get the money and come to college without my parents paying a single buck.
Okay.
So that's what happened. I was like, of course, like I need to go. That was the only solution I had, and I did. And the challenges were really hard. I thought that like somehow they would be a little easier, or there would be like questions, right? The first time I thought, it would be so easy because they're gonna ask me questions, and general questions, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
But they were all physical challenges. So I had to like throw stuff and aim and roll like a wheel, and I'm so uncoordinated. I have no idea. My mom asked me to get coffee. When I go from the kitchen to the living room, there's no more coffee because I just bounce around so much. When I get there, it's just empty. So I had to do this challenge, right? And I practiced a little bit before, like 5 minutes. Didn't get like a lot of those challenges right. So I was kind of concerned that I wouldn't make it. My father, he went live too. He was so concerned. He was not gonna die of a heart attack anymore because that day was too much for him. But what happened when he actually went live, I was so concentrated and focused because, maybe I wouldn't be able to do. It was such a tough moment because I needed to get the money. There was no way out, so I had to concentrate. And when he went live, I got all the challenges in the first try, everything the first try. It wasn't even, I didn't make a single mistake, which was crazy to me, how much I could concentrate in that time. And I got all the money. So that's where I got all the money. And the other thing is that I couldn't take any loans, right? That's the piece, because I was from Brazil.
Yes.
And even in Brazil, I couldn't take any loans because my family was so poor. So that's why I needed.
You had to have the money.
I had to have the money to come here beforehand. So then winning the game show definitely helped with that. So I got all the money. That was 2013. Then I came to Franklin Marshall College, where I am right now. That was my first year. And that gave me the opportunity, lots of opportunities that not only to grow personally, but to know a lot of people that definitely will change my life. And we're doing partnerships, but that's kind of how I got to FNM. And all education and motivation for me. And I know, it seems crazy in that sense. This story is too much, right? I told you it's kind of crazy, but there's only 2 things I think comes out of it, right? One is believing in education.
Yep.
And the other one is the motive is right. My motive is to help my family, and I think a lot of those opportunities came because I wasn't trying to get rich myself or just do something for myself. I'm actually trying to help my family and my community. So things have happened to me, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, and you are making a difference in so many lives just from what you've experienced. I mean, I listen to this story and I can keep listening to this story because I think it's so inspiring what you've done and your motivation and your passion and your concern and your care to make a difference in many lives in the community and further beyond.
Yeah. That's very
Wow.
important.
And we're going to take a brief pause. When we come back, we're going to see exactly how you've translated these skills into something even bigger. So stay with us.
Amazing.
Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We've been talking to Hector and his wonderfully inspiring story about how he got to the States from Brazil and is getting an education at Franklin and Marshall. Now there's a great relationship here. We now have on set with us Jordan Steffi. You're the founder and executive director of Children Deserve a Chance. Now the two of you connected through Franklin and Marshall. Let's tell the story about this.
Exactly. So I came to Franklin Marshall. That was already my junior year. The end of my junior year, Jordan sent me a message. He was like, "Can you come here to the office, which is the Children Deserve a Chance Foundation office? We can just talk." So I went there, kind of skeptical. I was like, "What this guy wants?" Went there, told my story. He told his story to me, and it was like instant magic. He's, incredible guy, hard worker too, and everyone in the office had the same vibe. So right away we connected and we shared some ideas about the program, new other projects from the side, and it was just right away. I don't know if you remember that. You definitely remember that. But
there's no question. I think there's a book called Good to Great, and in it they talk about this idea of you want to get the right people on the bus. You'll figure out what seats they sit in. And I had been talking with a bunch of people throughout the community, many affiliated with Franklin and Marshall. I was just saying, who are game changers? Who are people who are going to change the world? And this Hector guy keeps getting brought up. Said I got to meet him, and so that's when I reached out, and immediately we knew we had to get him on the bus somehow.
Yeah. So for those who are joining us with this show who might not know what Children Deserve a Chance is about, tell us briefly, Jordan.
Yeah. So Children Deserve a Chance is a college access program that's focused on illuminating the pathway to college for first-generation college goers. And we work with students in 6th through 12th grade in 10 different school districts, but we're headquartered out of Lancaster City. And so part of the reason we've had the success in sending so many of our scholars to four-year colleges is because as a staff, all of us have walked that road, being the first in our families to do it as well. And so I meet Hector, and he's the first to do it, and it was just immediately the energy and his commitment to this was something that we needed to be part of our organization. And so over a period of time, we've been able to get him on board.
So your position is what?
So I'm the co-founder of Attollo Code. So it's an initiative, since technology was a huge part of my life, education was a huge part of my life, and I was taking computer science in college too, it all made sense, right? So if you get the numbers and statistics, it's just horrendous how the inequality perpetuates even for technology when it comes to programming skills, right? Computer science skills. Not a lot of minorities or underrepresented students are in there. And then when you talk about women, it's even less, right? So how do you change that?
Right.
So Jordan and I were talking about this, and we developed Attollo Code, which is this programming course with a little bit of Attollo Code. So it has a little leadership skills in it too, but mostly programming, technology, logic, critical thinking. It's all together. And then we kind of decided to prototype it to the foundation's scholars, right? Because if we empower them in middle school to have this, technology background, imagine when they get to college, they're going to be ahead, of a lot of people, and then they can teach other people too, which is the idea. So that's kind of how we got it working.
Yeah, and so we piloted this summer an initiative with about 11 scholars from our program, and we had just such positive feedback, attendance, and it was kind of neat because we had gone on a college tour this summer, and we went to the West Coast, and we're in California, and we're at Stanford and a bunch of these schools, but we visited Google and Walt Disney headquarters. And there, one of the scholars who Hector had gone through or had take his course that this past summer started talking about his experience in Attollo Code, and just to see this way that the student lit up, and then to see the way that people at Google and Walt Disney were lighting up. The person at Walt Disney came to us and said, "Can we give him an internship as like a 6th grader?" Right? And so it was just amazing to see the response that this is a real need and that our scholars were really gaining. And so we've been, Hector and a couple of other individuals are working on scaling this now.
Wow. So how does this exact exactly work?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me more about this.
So right now we're getting all the middle school students. So not only we did over the summer, but now we're going to expand it, right? So throughout this whole semester and then next semester, not only are we going to teach new things to this course, getting new students, so a little bit of augmented reality, which is behind Pokemon Go, which they love it. The kids love it right now. So you got to put something new like that on it. But new, always like new technology tendencies that I want to put in there. So it's going to be through September, October, a little bit of November with our scholars. But we're also planning to expand to schools around Lancaster.
Wow.
So if any schools are open to that, I think that'll be a great opportunity for them to get involved with it, because they need those tech skills, right? If we need it as adults, imagine those kids that are going to be in the future.
And I think one of the cool things that we're doing with Attollo Code is also offering workshops on weekends. So even if your school doesn't necessarily offer Attollo Code, you'll be able to come to one of our immersive workshops and really get a deep dive into this. And I think that that's really exciting. We've gotten a lot of feedback that said people were looking for that.
Okay. And for those that are joining, we're trying to explain what Attollo is.
Yeah.
I am more talk
Yeah.
about that relationship with
So
Children Deserve.
Children Deserve a Chance Foundation is the foundation, and that's the arm in which we raise the funds through and kind of operate under. Our main program is called Attollo, and Attollo is this college access program. And so I Am More was just the slogan that we came up with when we first started Attollo. And we think I am are two of the most powerful words ever created and put together. Magical things happen. And so I Am More just became this phrase that our scholars started saying and our staff started saying, just believing that and knowing that we are capable of doing more. Yeah.
And that's what you felt, and that's what you knew.
Yeah. It's just, you have to strive to be your best, right? Not only for yourself, but because people around you need it. People around you need you to be your best, so you can inspire them to do the same, and then they inspire someone else. I think that's just life, right? And just seeing that connection happening with the foundation was what actually motivated me to do all of this.
And I think the one thing that's interesting in working with Hector and is that it's authentic, right? This isn't someone who's coming in and says, I know that I got to teach a student this about adversity, or I need to teach a student this about programming. This is how he's gotten here.
Yes.
This is how he's thousands and thousands of miles away from his family with this opportunity. And so I think when scholars sense that, it's been a major reason as to why we've been able to engage students of color like we have. And then also, there's no excuses, right? Like when you hear a Hector story, when you hear a Gianna story, when you hear some of the people within our organization's stories, they didn't say, I had these bad things happen to me, and so that's why I'm here. They said, I had these bad things happen to me, and in spite of that, that's why I'm here. And so I think that that's very powerful for our scholars to hear and experience.
Yeah, it really is. Now, I know there's a lot of positive energy here. And I know that there's so much positive that's going on, but there are times that we all go through rough spots.
Definitely.
What is it that keeps you on track?
That's a great question. And I think that's what misses when people are trying to find happiness. I think happiness comes from finding your mission in life, right? So earlier in life, I was grateful to realize my mission in life was to help my family and help my community. So I think once you realize that, it becomes but it has to be something genuine, right? So your mission, when I say mission, it's something that really burns inside you when you want to do it. So I knew that was my mission when I was studying to get into here studying for the SATs, in the back room that I have in my house with rats going on the roof by myself, and I wanted to stop. I wanted to go out and play soccer, but I just decided to stay and study because of this mission, because of my why. So I think that's what I want people to find their whys too, especially young people. When you find your why, nothing can stop you. So even when things get hard here in US and I'm far away from my family, and then I start doubting myself, I just remember why I'm doing this, because my family is still struggling in Brazil every day, so I cannot stop.
It's your purpose, it's your passion, it's kind of the core of who you are. And I think that's also for what you do and why you started what you did too, right, Jordan?
It certainly is, but to build on what Hector was saying, I also think another added way of kind of getting yourself out of these times when you're down or when you're facing adversity now is that when you have a power circle, when you have people who you work with who you don't want to let down, and you have people who you work with who are genuinely happy people, that also helps in coming out of those things. And the last thing I think is, despite what our backgrounds are, we all are in a very good place in life right now. And I think recognizing that is so powerful. And so we try to live with a bunch of gratitude. And I think when you have gratitude and when you give, you feel very fulfilled in life. And so bad things happen, but quite frankly, they don't happen very often.
Yeah, and I think also living in the moment and realizing, handling each step in the moment, not to be overwhelmed by something that is not even there yet, that isn't necessarily real, right?
Yeah, we say 99% of people's fears never come true.
Right.
Right, so why even exhaust the energy on it?
Exactly. We're going to put websites up on the screen so you can find out more about Children Deserve a Chance and Attollo Code as well.
Perfect.
You are doing such great work.
Thank you.
Wonderful work. Love the smile here and the energy. We're going to take a brief pause. When we come back, we're going to have some final thoughts. Stay with us. We've been talking about Children Deserve a Chance, Attollo Code, with Jordan and with Hector. Final thoughts, Jordan?
I would just encourage, any school or any teacher, any parent who thinks that you want to expose your child or student to programming. I think it's much more than just typing on a computer. It's about a way of thinking. It's about problem solving. And so I would encourage you to reach out through the website attollocode.org.
Okay, Hector?
Definitely choose. So if you're either a student or someone who would like to help as far as teaching, maybe you're taking computer science or just like technology, please join us in this too. Or if you're just an individual trying to make a contribution to the whole program, because the point is that we want to expose as many kids as we can with this. As far as you said, it's a problem-solving way of thinking. It's just trying to solve problems in the world, and I think everyone needs a chance to have that. So please get us on the website.
And thank you for coming on and sharing your story, Hector.
Thank you.
Because you are an inspiration.
Thank you.
Absolutely an inspiration.
That's the thing. If more people try to think in that way, helping each other, but also believe in yourself and education. I always believe in education.
And you know what? And when you help yourself, when you're helping others, you're really helping yourself too. You really, really are. Thank you for being here, sharing your story. And this is Hector's first time on American TV. He's been on TV in Brazil.
Exactly.
And I'm also going to say this right now, a future president of Brazil, and you've seen him here first.
There you go.
Thank you so much for all you do. We'd like to say thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines. And remember, keep looking behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.